What up, everyone? How we all doing this Saturday evening? My name's Protoman. Welcome to the Transformer Slag podcast, Ustream, YouTube, Saturday night hangout, whatever we call this madness. It's been a quiet week for Transformer news, but still worth hanging out and talking about it and making it fun for everybody. We'll do some super chat questions and we'll talk about some cool stuff I got in the mail from the Transformer Slag P.O. box from all the cool fans that have sent stuff. I got a lot of stuff to catch up on and a lot of stuff to show people. So let's jump into the news first and then we'll take it from there. There's not much news, but I kind of fluffed it up a little bit, made it a little nice for everybody in the stream today. So let's do that. First thing that we have to talk about, and it's that of our Studio Series 86 Leader Class Dinobot Slag and Daniel. How aptly named, to say the least. But needless to say, this is very exciting, and it gives more credence to the fact that we do know that sooner or later we are going to get a complete run of Dinobots. At least that's what Hasbro says. We'll get to the Q&A afterwards that happened later this week. But as it stands right now, it looks really cool. Nice leader class. Has the red face, so it really matches that of the show model rather than the toy having the darker face. That was not show accurate. So that's really cool. We also have an image there. It shows the scale next to Grimlock, so we have pretty much an idea of how he's going to be next to each other. I will say this, though, I'm still surprised that they're going with the Slag trademark. I mean, I guess they figured out a way around it after all the headaches that they were dealing with. And, it is what it is, as they always say. But pretty cool stuff. Let's get into the extra that comes with him, and it's that of Daniel Witwicky in the Exosuit. Now, people have been starting to point this out already, that there seems to be a common trend that's going to be happening with these leader classes, and it seems that their little extra buddies that come with them seem to have these non-transforming, stuck, non-articulated, squatty legs for riding on the back of their characters. Case in point, who came with Grimlock was Wheelie, and Wheelie had the same kind of problem, unfortunately. So it looks like I don't know if it almost looks like it's almost the same mold. It's not the same mold, but it looks like it's the same concept. And it makes us wonder if we're going to get more Dinobots, who will be included, and will it have this same kind of gimmick where everybody's got to ride a dinosaur? Open the floor, ride a dinosaur. I still dig it, though. I still dig it. I still dig that we're getting this. I find that the naming is kind of interesting. And not to mention, in the case of the legs, someone at Cult 3D already started making these 3D printed legs for Wheelie that gives you the opportunity to have articulated legs for your Wheelie figure. Now, granted, he still can't transform, but these articulated legs are pretty cool. Supposedly it gives a little holster for his slingshot, and chances are, if you could print these in any colors, if you do them in white, it'll work for your Daniel Witwicky also. But I'm pretty sure by the time the Daniel Witwicky comes out, we'll have the option to probably have a more exosuit kind of looking legs. But, again, it is what it is. Like I always say, there's not much that can be done with it. Everyone's really buying it for the Grimlock or for the Slag. So it's not too big a deal, in my opinion. But I still dig it. I still think it's really cool. And I think, sooner or later, we're going to get a proper Wheelie figure. I think, considering how these mini-bots have been going recently, like with Huffer and everything, wouldn't it be kind of cool to get a really nice deluxe Wheelie and not like just that GDO one we got, what was it, like 4 years ago or something? It'd be really cool to see what might come from this. Anyways, next thing was the Q&A from the Transformers Fan Fest. of Hasbro Pulse. Now, the images I posted here are just some suggestive images. So they talked about a lot of stuff. A lot of it were kind of middle of the road questions. I went over the whole thing a couple days ago. If you want to see that segment, I think it was like 17 to 20 minutes or something. I really go into the deep of it. But to kind of just do a quick summary, they pretty much said that they're hearing the demand of a lot of the Amazon exclusives and stuff, and they're going to be reshipping and reissuing some of them through Amazon, the first of them being the cone heads. So people who missed an opportunity to get those cone heads, well, we'll get another chance. Hopefully it doesn't sell out crazy quickly, but it does show that Hasbro is paying attention, and the potential for, I guess, in the case of low run exclusives, there's more of an opportunity, especially with a direct market like that of Amazon, that could go from Hasbro directly to their warehouses to the customer, as opposed to a distributor that has to go through Walmart or Target or something like that. We have a super chat question from Alejandro. Nice to see you again, Alejandro. And he wants to know, do you think all the Dinobots will be leader class? I think Swoop will be at least a Voyager. The rumor was that they were all going to be Dinobots, but I do agree with you. I think some of those characters, like Swoop, I think if they do a leader class, they'd have to really figure out a way to justify a smaller character like Swoop. Like, I could see Sludge being a leader class. I could even see Snarl being a leader class. But yeah, Swoop is the thinner of the bunch, the smaller. Unless they do like some crazy wingspan for him and make him really huge, and then include a bunch of accessories to really make it worth it, which, you know, the way Hasbro is right now, look at what they did with Studio Series 86 Hot Rod. You know, they're figuring out ways to kind of pad it out to get to a certain price point. So I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow pull off a Swoop in a leader class. But at the same time, I do agree with you. He's something that's more in that Voyager kind of price point, if we're all being honest. But then when you think about it, if he's a Voyager, how small is he going to be in robot mode compared to his other compatriots, when we're kind of used to the Dinobots all standing head-to-head with each other, despite the fact that their alt modes do have very different kinds of sizes, especially something like Sludge, that was I guess, was it still called a Brontosaurus? I don't know anymore with paleontology constantly changing. But the Brontosaurus should technically be the largest of the bunch, but they're all kind of more or less the same size. But I do agree. I think that realistically a Voyager would kind of work, but then the robot mode kind of gets iffy. But thank you for the super chat question, Alejandro. Nice to see you again, back in the super chats and in the stream. But getting back to what I was saying with Hasbro Pulse, some of the other things that they mentioned, specifically Lenny was talking about how if they feel that there's a good narrative, they could still do more Beast characters in the future. And they talked about also how if they want Generation 1 Japanese characters, it would have to make sense for the theme. I think you could fit anyone in given the right time and place. I mean, you didn't need a theme or anything like that to have the Micromasters. They were there and they weren't part of the Netflix show itself. It was just an extra accessory or an extra play pattern. So we'll see what happens definitely with that. I think that there's a lot of room to put in a whole bunch of characters that don't need to fit anything. Then they talked about what happened to the Armada Optimus Prime. There, if we see in our image over here at the top left, is the prototype. And they just said not much they could talk about right now, but stay tuned. I still firmly believe that next year, because it will be the 20th anniversary of the Armada brand, which was a big comeback for Transformers in a lot of ways after the RID kind of thing did okay, and it's truly like a return to vehicles. I think they'll do something, and I think that this has a lot to do with that, and a 2022 20th anniversary Armada Optimus Prime kind of release. If that's the only thing that celebrates Armada, I think people will still be happy with it. In the same way that for the 20th anniversary of Beast Wars, we had Masterpiece Optimus Primal. That was like the big Beast release to celebrate the 20th anniversary, was the start of Masterpiece Beast Wars characters with Optimus Primal in 2016. So I dig it. I think it's cool. I kind of want to see more. I love Armada. It was a fun little series, and it really opened up the gateway to a whole bunch of other stuff with that of Energon and Cybertron that kind of almost were the prototypes in a lot of ways to that, which is Classics and Generations today. And they also talked about the the fact that, and this is the bottom left image here with Cyclonus, how there was a point where there was a lot of characters that were meant to be Studio Series 86 characters, and then they felt that they could test the water and mix them up and put them in the main line of Generations with Kingdom and everything. And that's why we ended up with characters like RC and Inferno and the likes of even Cyclonus finding their way into the Kingdom line and doing stuff like that, as opposed to a Studio Series 86. Even though technically Inferno wasn't in the movie, he was only in the storyboards. And I guess maybe in a small background quick image thing, if you look carefully, of the Battle of Autobot City, you see Inferno. He was credited in the the credits of the movie for voice acting. I think it's Emerson was the name of his voice actor. I keep forgetting his name. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. Hasbro gave us a lot of information, but at the same time, there was a lot of stuff that they didn't answer 100%. And one of the big ones was the big question of, are we going to see more Titans in the future? They didn't give us a yes or no answer, which was kind of like, ooh, okay, sure. So we'll definitely stay tuned with that. Hopefully maybe this week coming up, we'll get some new information on that and some updates on what's going to be happening with the Titan class. There's still so many more figures to be revealed because we have a whole bunch of lists and everything that surfaced literally coming into FanFest and exiting FanFest. There was a whole bunch of lists of product that could be potentially happening with those Studio Series and that of the Generations, Netflix, and Kingdom kind of line that we need to see more. We need to learn more, and we need to understand more. And especially also with that Shattered Glass stuff. So we'll find out. We'll find out soon enough. Last thing we're going to talk about with news, and it's not a big one, and it's a little early for Christmas, but already Hallmark is showing their next planned Hallmark Christmas Transformer ornament. Hallmark's been doing these for a while now. They're pretty much high-quality Transformer ornaments based off of the Generation 1 toys. And they did the G1 Optimus Prime. They did Soundwave. They did Bumblebee. They did Jazz. I know I'm forgetting one. I think they did Megatron also. Yeah, they did Megatron also. And it's just now it's time for Shockwave. And what's good about these, and I own these, and I also own the ones that Walmart puts out, and I find that these ones are way more drop-proof, I guess is the best way to put it. These are much better high-quality ornaments than the ones that Walmart puts out of Transformers, which are pretty brutal, unfortunately. I've talked about these in the past on the podcast, and the quality wasn't that great, but these ones are good. They're a little more pricey. This says here $17.99 is going to be the expected MSRP on this. I'll just say this right now. This stuff goes on clearance always afterwards. After Christmas, usually all of these go 50% off. So if you really want it, but you don't want to pay it, there's other ways. And the pre-orders apparently are going to be starting July 10th. We got a long way to go to Christmas, but we're already talking about Christmas ornaments. Sure. Anyways, I love Shockwave, so I don't know, $17.99 USD. That's a lot for a Canadian bum like me. But either way, we'll see what happens. Last but not least, let's talk about our sponsors before we get into the rest of this evening together. So Symbiote Studios, which make our shirts and our pins and our plushes. SymbioteStudios.com. Check them out. They do the official Transformer Hasbro plush line as well as the G.I. Joe line. Check them out. They have a whole bunch of cool stuff and their pins and their t-shirts. A lot of cool stuff. SymbioteStudios.com. As of this recording or of this stream, there's Grimlock there in the back. Grimlock is their newest release that they have, and their Starscream, that is Wave 2. They've already come out as of March 22nd and have been selling extremely well. Grimlock has been selling a lot better than Starscream, which I was shocked and surprised. Shame on you, Starscream fans. Get on that. Here they are together. Check them out, $24.99. Awesome stuff. And of course, they also have Maneater. So pick up a shark while you're there too. I love that line. Love that line. I love the t-shirt too. So that's it. So let's get into, before we get into super chat questions, I just want to get into stuff that was sent to me from fans. I have the P.O. box for the podcast, and once in a while fans send really cool stuff to me. And I got a whole bunch of cool stuff. It's like it all got bunched into one because I guess, the way the world is today. The first one I'll grab here, I'm just grabbing them all at random. This one actually had a letter on it too, which was really nice. Comes from Brogam Brainstorm, and he wrote, "Dear Protoman, I know distribution for Netflix War for Cybertron is rough, especially when it comes to Canada. Oof, don't even get me started, especially with Quebec, when you have pas de franquais, let's put it this way. Found this guy at Walmart the other day. It's the only of the second one I've seen since December. The box is a little beat up, but it looks like someone tried to take him out. I guess so, maybe. But everything is there and it looks good. Hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoy mine. Your passion for the fandom and drive has providing news and insight for everyone is much appreciated. You got the touch. You rock. Bro Brainstorm." He got me the Soundwave. Netflix Soundwave. I have seen none of this stuff locally. Everything that I've seen of this stuff has come through the internet. That's about it. So that was really cool of him to hook me up with that. Thank you, Brogan Brainstorm. I will be opening him and taking nice photo shoots on Twitter and Instagram. I wonder how I'm going to do this one. I'm not too sure yet. I'm going to do some nice photo shoots. But again, thank you for that. Next one we got. This one here comes from Australia. And this one's awesome, all the way from Australia. This is from Spider Monkey. He actually sent it in I believe this was the one for Shattered Glass Optimus Prime. He sent it in the Shattered Glass Optimus Prime box, but it's not that actually. It's a whole bunch of stuff, really. First, and anyone who was probably following my Twitter and my Instagram, he sent me, let me just pull him out here, Rotor Storm from Generation Selects. Pretty cool. Didn't have him. That's really cool. I did a nice photo shoot if anyone saw on Instagram. He sent me, this one I'm going to be taking photos of soon, Bug Bite, also the Generation Selects, so I'm really hyped about that one. Really cool. And not opened yet, but also in the box, he sent me Deep Cover. So that's pretty cool, bro. That one I'm going to try to take some nice photos of, too. He also sent me in it, I want to just share this with you guys. He did some little 3D printing. He did this 3D printed Insecticon of Bombshell, and it reminded me of the, kind of looks like he got rid of all the little bad detail that was on the Thrilling 30 Generations version. So it's pretty cool. It has a little articulated nozzle there. Really nice, cute little green Insecticon kind of hang out on my desk now with me. Nice little green Insecticon. So again, thank you for that. Thank you. I'm just trying to put everything away. Thank you for that, Spider Monkey. A lot of cool stuff here. Really awesome. Really awesome. There's going to be a lot of photos this week, to say the least, of all this cool stuff that was sent. And last but not least, and it's a shame because, so I'll preface it. So supposedly, local Montrealers have been reporting that Unicron has been showing up at their doors. I still haven't gotten mine yet. So it sucks. I'm still waiting. Maybe next stream he'll be chilling with me back there and joining us. But we got a huge box. Where was the? I keep forgetting where they live. I'm just trying to, just because I always like to say like which area it's from. I think it's Nevada. I know it's in Henderson, but this is from Mikey. She's an amazing 3D printer with her husband or boyfriend, not sure. And they sent me the upgrade kit for Unicron so that you could have both Unicron in planet mode and robot mode at the same time. So this is how you could like pretty much put him in the stand there. And so I got this. I got the wings, so you could have the wings also, so you could have it in both modes. And then on top of all of that, a ton of different upgrade kits for different kinds of stuff. This is Tankor's upgrade kit. This is the upgrade kit for Siege Ultra Magnus. This is the upgrade kit for G2 Megatron. A whole bunch of 3D printed upgrade stuff. Whole bunch of cool stuff. I'm going to have so much fun taking photos with this. But I can't wait to use this. I know it looks silly on its own like this, but you don't realize just how important this piece is going to be in the future for people who are Unicron owners. I already know one individual on one of the Facebook groups already used theirs. They 3D printed it from their website and loves it, and it came out really nice and stuff. They have a group on Cult 3D. I'll link it in the... Oh, or maybe, Mikey, you're here, actually. That's perfect. Maybe you could link it too. Link your Cult 3D and people could check it out. And, yeah. It's, I can't wait to use it. I just want my Unicron already so I could take photos and show people how cool this thing is. It looks, on its own, it just looks like a weird spaceship or something, you know? Some spiky spaceship. But this looks great. I can't wait. I really can't wait to use it. It's awesome. Again, thank you, Mikey. Thanks, everyone who sent so much stuff to the P.O. Box. It is nuts, all the stuff that we've been getting. And there's even more that I'm going to talk about in the future, but that's going to be something related to Patreon that I've been working on with them, which will be a nice little gift for people that are part of the Patreon and the membership stuff and everything. That being said, that's it more or less for all of that stuff. I guess we could get into the super chat questions today and all the chat and the Q&A, and we'll just chill for the rest of the evening and see what's happening. So pretty much, I mean, this week was pretty quiet for news. I mean, I think we kind of got throttled over the past couple of weeks. So it's been pretty cool. It's been pretty cool, though, like everything that we've seen. I know that we had a listener question on the Patreon that was about why won't we see more, let's say, Japanese characters? And the way that I see it is, you know, as the one thing is that even though there's a whole bunch of Japanese characters and stuff that people would like to see, there's the whole thing that's happening with trademarks. And I mean, I did a whole discussion about it yesterday. It's pretty business related, which is unfortunately the truth. Any of those upgrades, I don't have a 3D printer. Well, there's a program brainstorms there too. You're welcome for the sound. Thank you, by the way. This is really cool. I haven't decided how I want, because whenever I do my photo shoots, I always do something like special. Like I try to like mix like old figures with new figures to kind of do comparisons. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. I know that Laserbeak, definitely. I'm looking forward to him. I always love that Laserbeak mold. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much. That's so cool. That is so cool. And same thing, even like what Spider Monkey sent me. The I own the original GoBots of these, so I can't wait to take a photo shoot of those too. That's gonna be really fun. It's gonna be a fun week on Instagram and Twitter for me. Where we at? Dear Proto, how would you incorporate the Constructicons into Transformers Prime? Well, Transformers Prime, oddly enough, really didn't cover like that continuity, and unless you know, see, here's the thing, like War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, it's supposed to be part of that world. I still firmly believe it's not. I think that was an afterthought. So I think the introduction of combiners would be handled very differently. But I mean, there's just it's a whole complicated thing that if ever I got the opportunity, I'd flesh it out for them. You know, I really would. In the same way, kind of like how do I put it? How Derek Wyatt had his plans for Constructicons with animated, and how it was going to be handled very differently than what has been traditionally done. But yeah, I don't want to get too much into it because I always feel like that opportunity is going to present itself for me one day. I feel, especially when it comes to Transformers Prime, I feel Hasbro still stands behind that line and plans to do more with it in the future one day. We have a super chat question from Downright Superb. He wants to know, Downright Superb says, couldn't Star Saber be split? The carrier ship be an Autobot and the Star and Robot be Saber? Well, that is one way to do it. I think out of all the Transformer Victory characters that exist, Star Saber is one of those that will probably happen at some point. He's a leader character, so I could see them like I could see them one day just trademarking Star Saber and just like throwing caution to the wind. And I could see them going, okay, we're going to do Star Saber, and we're going to do the Star Saber big character commander class, let's say. And then 4 years from now, they're going to do a Star Saber sword, the mini-cons, because now they already have Star Saber. So he's someone that they could do something with that trademark every 4 years. And then 4 years after that, now 8 years later, then you could do Star Saber again, and he could be part of the Transformers RED line, or some kind of small little PVC line, or some kind of non-transformable line. I could still, like, Star Saber is the easy one, in my opinion. So if you want Star Saber, he's the one that's probably going to happen. The others are the ones that are way more difficult. What do you do with Road Caesar? I love Road Caesar, but what do you do with that afterwards? It's a tough one. It really, really is. And, I mean, Deathsaurus, it's the same thing. Yeah, you're going to get that commander class, right? You get the Saurus, the commander. Then what do you do? What do you do with that Deathsaurus? Number one, with that trademark. Number two, with that mold that's probably have to be made for it. It's difficult. It's difficult. It's like, what do you do with Deathsaurus? I guess, do you want to do an RED Deathsaurus? Is Hasbro going to take the limited slots that they have for RED to put a obscure Japanese character that doesn't speak to a mainstream audience? And the RED line really is aimed at a mainstream audience. So it's kind of difficult. But Star Saber, he could happen. I wouldn't worry about that. For sure. Star Saber is one of those characters, you know, downright superb that I feel will happen at one point. Because his name could be stuck onto other things because of the history, just with the Unicron trilogy alone. But thank you for the super chat question. We have another super chat question from Eastman777, Mr. Good Luck himself, Eastman. Says, thank you for everything. Question number 1. How do you organize your Transformers on your shelves? I guess so what I do is I do everything by year, then by faction, and then I do it like that. So to give you an example, right? 84, 85 Autobot Decepticons. 86, 87, 88, 89, 90. Nah. Then you get into G2, and like here, Armada, Energon, Cybertron, and of course, while Armada was happening, so was Alternators. While Energon was happening, so was Universe 2.0. While at the time Cybertron was happening, we had Robot Masters, we had the Beast Wars 10th anniversary line. So, you know, and then when you go more down, you have Titaniums with at the same time happening with Animated. I sort it primarily by year and then by faction within those years. That's how I always do it. And it keeps going. And the other side of the room is all movie toys and everything like that. It's pretty crazy. It's a lot to take in my room. It's a lot. It's kind of overwhelming, and I would not wish it on anybody, despite people wanting to probably have something like this. Question number 2, can you show a close-up of your shelves behind you? What the problem is this camera that I have, it's wired, unfortunately. Like, that's what I hate. The one thing I hate about it. One day, if they make really good wireless HD cameras, I'd love to kind of like the early streams that we used to do. I used to just use the camera and we would go around the room and stuff. To be honest, like, I could explain it to you. Essentially what they are is they're plexi, which is cheaper than glass, by the way. If you want to make shelving, use plexiglass. You'd be surprised how much cheaper it is. And if you ask, like, well, doesn't plexiglass bend? Just get cheaper, thicker plexiglass. It's pretty thick. Like, it's, if you see, notice how thick that is, that plexiglass. Thick. And I do 2 feet deep, the shelves, so you really get a lot of surface area. Like, look how deep that shelving is, how it goes all the way to the back, if you look at that wall there. And slider doors that I get from like a like Home Depot kind of place, like renovation kind of store. You could buy these. These are the ones that are normally used for, like, let's say, just like a sliding door for your back door for your backyard or something. You could buy just the frames. So you buy just the frames with the tracks, and then you put plexiglass. And plexiglass is easier to clean too. It's not as there goes that. There goes my drink. The thing with those is they're also easier to clean, and I find that they're not as prone to dust I find that like with glass, for some reason, because UV has a weird way with regular tempered glass, I find that it penetrates it in a different way and dust sticks to it easier. Where plexi, like I almost never have to wash these and there's never dust on them. It's nuts. So I like them. And when you do the shelving with plexi too, you have the same thing where dust doesn't really stick to it. There will be static electricity. Don't get me wrong, but I think it works. And again, if you just like, I did it for all of them. All of them are like that. It's all around the room. I built it like that, custom made. A lot of people always ask me, where did you buy your shelving? They were built. They were built into the wall. This was a piece of wall that I built into and then built a door in front of it. Like it goes literally to the roof. You know, it's there's Kiss Play up there. Kiss Play. And then you got some miscellaneous. They go all the way to the roof. These are, I think these are 10-foot tall ceilings. And goes all the way to the top. Try to cover everything. Oh, let's go all the way to the bottom there. Crazy stuff. I'd love to give you guys a tour again one day. A lot of people like looking at the collection and stuff. There's so much to take in. But one day, my friend. One day. We got more super chat questions. And again, thank you, by the way, Eastman, for the questions. They're always fun to talk about that stuff for people. A lot of people ask that. So it's nice to finally get it in one place. Downright Superb wants to know if Hasbro ever revisits combiners and headmasters in a line wide capacity. Do you ever think, though, there will be backwards compatible with previous lines? I firmly believe if they revisit combiners again, they're going to make them bigger. They're going to be not just like a deluxe scale. I think they'll aim like, deluxe scale standard. I think they'll try to do something that's a little bigger where the leader will be the centerpiece and the Voyagers will be the individuals. And because of that, I don't think they'll be compatible with the previous combiners. I think they'll probably want to do something brand new, whole new tooling, whole new engineering. Because when you think about it, that old combiner style, let's put it this way. You have the combiner style that was done with Energon. Oh man, you guys could barely see it, but there's a Devastator over there and some of the other characters. That had a different kind of peg style, and that was the Aaron Archer era. Then when we went to the John Warden era, we had that block style. I wish I had one close enough to show. Actually, no, I can't reach it, but I have one of the Junkions there. But then you have that one, and that one was also a different kind of style for the John Warden era. The Lenny era, we'll see what they're going to do, but they're going to want to do something different. Different designers, different lead brand managers, different era, different style, and that's what I think they're going to do. And as for the headmasters, yeah, I guess they'll probably maybe keep that. I mean, there's this one I can show. It's something where, that little headpiece, how do you really reinvent that in a lot of ways? Obviously, this is a Prime Master, but it's the same general idea. I always just like having a Metal Hawk nearby. I think they'll probably, there's only so much you could reinvent the wheel when it comes to headmasters, unfortunately. So could they make a different peg? Yeah. Should they? Do they want to? But yeah. Oh, we got a brand new person who joined the Patreon and or membership, YouTube membership. Welcome, Andy Davis, to the Elite Guard. Next super chat question is from Michael Koo, and Michael wants to know, Protoman, Hasbro has a pinless joint for their action figures. Can pinless joints work for Transformers? Yes and no. And I'll tell you why. The thing with pinless joints is they work great with soft, malleable PVC figures. Works great with that. The thing is that, an action figure, man, I wish I had a good one close by. Unfortunately, I only have junk stuff that's gonna go for sale soon. But the thing is with action figures is there's a limitation to how much movement could be used on action figures, and they never really reach a stress point. It's very rare that we're messing with our figures where we reach a stress point. But with Transformer toys, we're really pushing something to a limit to do something, and you need to have metal pins because you need something that's strong, because the last thing we want is if they do something that's a soft PVC pin and people are transforming their stuff and it's breaking. We don't want that. And there's going to be ham-fisted people that are going to have these toys and break them. So we really would want to avoid that. And I mean, it's the same thing like large Transformer toys with ratchet joints that are just like click, 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 click. They want to have something that's a strong polyurethane plastic, that's the paintless plastic, and just something bang, 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 bang. It has to be super strong so that it doesn't wear out, so that it could hold a pose. As opposed to if it was just soft ball joints, the arms would lag over time. There's always that consideration. Transformer toys are a very different animal from action figures. I mean, take a look at this figure here, this Cthulhu-looking guy. It's literally one piece of plastic here, one piece of plastic here. This is a piece of plastic. This is a piece of plastic. We got maybe like 7 pieces of plastic here with the paint, maybe 8 if we want to be liberal. Then we have this little gimmicky Cyberverse Optimus Prime. And just all of these moving parts alone and everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And probably on the inside with the gears, 8, 9, 10. This little low price point thing as opposed to this big guy. You know? Transformer toys always have way more parts, way more places to get broken. Way more stuff. And Hasbro always has to figure out a way to make it child friendly before even us as a collector takes very good care with it and make sure it has that perfect pose for photography. You know, it's always a different world. Different world completely. Different world. Let's go to the next, but thank you again for the question, my friend. Hey Proto, what are your thoughts on Masterpiece Star Saber? I love him. I think he's great. If I have one complaint about him, it's just that he doesn't do his Brainmaster gimmick proper. Like he doesn't do it the old school style where it goes in the chest and then it becomes the brain. It just kind of is in the chest and then the head comes up. It's kind of it's different than the traditional Brainmaster toy from the 90s, well late 89, 90. Aside from that, I think he's one of the best Masterpiece toys. He's definitely the largest of the traditional masterpieces that have come from the Generation 1 Masterpiece line, and I feel he looks great. Actually, I have one other complaint. I think his sword could have been bigger too, because like they did like here. I'll just like swing the camera around there for a second. I can barely see him. Where is he? There he is. If you see over there, there he is, and in front of him is X-Kaiser, which was another Masterpiece Transformer from their ill-fated Masterpiece Brave line. And X-Kaiser even has a bigger sword than Star Saber, and he's considerably smaller. So I think he should add a bigger sword. Oh, it's from Ben 10, eh? I know, because I have a whole bunch of these. People were unloading their collection. I was just doing research on them. This one, too. I have another one of these big guys. And I was just looking into them and stuff. All the crazy things I do in the week. Whole bunch of toys. Whole bunch of toys. Cthulhu-looking guy. I think he looks like Cthulhu. That's why I kind of dig him. Got that Cthulhu-looking face. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Cool figures. Cool figures. Where we at? Where we at? Do we have another super chat question? Let me just check before we get into others. Gotta prioritize the super chat to you great people. Dear Proto, how would you have written a Glit-centric story? I have Glit too. I love Glit. It's a really cool. For people who aren't aware, Glit is the white repaint of Ravage, which I'm pretty sure one day maybe we'll get a Glit or a Shattered Glass Ravage, but I prefer Glit. I like Glit because I love Kissplay. I'm one of those people that don't hate on Kissplay. Well, that's the drunken medic, which is kind of funny. I don't know how they would want to write it into a children's cartoon or something, but maybe drunk on Energon, drunk medic, and then Ravage has to deal with his bull. Be kind of fun to have. You're having a good time just hanging out, eh? Stinkfist69. Where we at? Hey, Proto, what do you think if Hasbro brought back Brainmasters? Well, here's the thing. It wouldn't be Hasbro bringing them back. It would be using the Takara concept from Transformer Victory. I would like it. I love the Brainmasters. My favorite combiner team outside of Defensor is Road Caesar. I love the Brainmasters. Problem is what do you do with those trademarks? It always goes back to trademarks. Like, think about it. The Brainmasters. So you trademark Brainmaster, Blacker, Laster, and Braver. Road Caesar. 5 trademarks they had to issue to do that. They pay for each one of those trademarks. They use those trademarks when they make that figure. So they make the figure, let's say, we get all of that done, there's all the trademarks, boom, boom, boom. Now what do you do with it? What are you going to do with Blacker, Laster, Braver, Road Caesar, and Brainmaster as a trademark when the 4 years roll up and they have to re-register it again? That's the problem. You're going to do another Road Caesar? You're going to do another Blaster, Lacquer, and Braver? That's where it gets a little more complex, and why sometimes those characters don't find their way to the market. Because they know they're going to do Hot Rod over and over. They know they're going to do other characters over and over. Some of them we do get one and dones. Like, I'm pretty sure Daddy-O, one of the Micromasters, which was supposed to be Big Daddy pretty much, that's probably going to be a one and done. They're probably going to do Daddy-O once, and then when that trademark rolls over. But that's almost like those are like personal projects. I almost feel like they just wanted to do Big Daddy. But that's almost out of context. They wanted to do Big Daddy. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Andy Davis, one of our members, wants to know, Dear Proto, any interest in a Power Rangers Transformers crossover? They're both big robot, Hasbro-owned PR. I did, Andy. I did a segment on the podcast. You'd have to do a search in the queue, where I talked about how I would have written a Power Rangers Transformers crossover series. And it's like, ooh, it's deep. It's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of layers to it. There's like, involving the Dinobots first with Mighty Morphin, and then getting into the Turbo era with the G1 guys waking up from the Ark and having the vehicle stuff. And then when you have Power Rangers in space, now they're going in space back to Cybertron. There's a lot of synergy between those two brands that work out really well. Now, obviously, scale is an issue too. The Zords are the size of buildings, and Constructicons and Tripticon and stuff like that are the only guys that would kind of measure up. But obviously, we'd fluff with the space and the size thing, much like when people always compare Gundam to Transformers. Like, Gundams are much larger than Transformers. But yet, whenever there's like a battle, when they compare the two, they always try to even out the size just to make it fair. So, I mean, I did a huge video on it. A huge video. I skipped out on Zeo and the Thunderzord stuff because I feel the Zodiac stuff and the Zeo stuff didn't really fit in with my narrative. So I felt like, you go with Mighty Morphin and then you jump to Turbo, just because I feel that it works better with that, personally. That's just me. I'll try to find that segment, and maybe I'll try to post it as a pinned comment. That way it'll be easier for you guys to find out. It's going to be tough because I did that one years ago. I think it was a Patreon listener question, maybe. But, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I'll try to dig it up. I'm going to try to remember. And also, Michael wants to know, any rumors of getting a Nemesis as a Titan to match the Ark? There's no rumors, really. It's what people are assuming. I mean, look, if you asked me to guess what would be next, Nemesis would make sense. But we have no confirmation. We don't even know what the next series is. So if the next series, whatever it is, would the Nemesis make sense as its centerpiece for that line? As opposed to, let's say, if we had an Armada line, Unicron trilogy, and the Nemesis transformed into Tidal Wave, then that would work. Enjoy the free idea, Hasbro. Next, we have a super chat question from James Dittmer. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce it right. Dittmer. You mentioned Defensor. Outside of Devi, he's my favorite combiner too. But I still don't have a toy. Which Defensor toy is your favorite? Well, technically, there's only 3 Defensors, and one of them isn't really Defensor. You have the original 1985 Combiner team. 1986 Combiner team. You have the one that they did technically using 6 Turbo, the Micromaster, and they called it Defensor. but I wouldn't really count that one. It's a great Combiner Micromaster team. They call it Defensor, but it really isn't Defensor. And then you have the modern Combiner Wars one. As much as I love the Combiner Wars one, I would get the Japanese version. That's probably the United Warrior one. It will be a little more expensive, but it's really good. I can't knock that original one though, and you can barely see them. You can kind of see pieces of them up there. I love that original team. I love that original team. Blade, like I love how there is such good variety. Because one thing, like when you look at the Constructicons, they're all they're all construction vehicles. Yeah, I don't want to insult it, but kind of boring from a perspective. I'm a car guy. I'm a mechanic by trade. Menasor, yeah, you have a truck, but then it's a whole bunch of European sports cars. Not a lot of variety. Aerial bots, same thing. Not a lot of variety. Bruticus, you get a little more interesting. Space shuttle, you got a tank, you got a Jeep, a little more variety there. I love Defensor because you have a little variety of everything. You got a fire truck, you got an ambulance, you got a police car, you got I call it a chip style road pig bike. I like that kind of variety. So when you have a combiner team, you have all these fun little things that are really unique amongst each other. So that's why I really like them. I would go with the original toy. He's probably cheaper than getting the United Warrior one complete, and it's a classic. It's a classic. Just hope you get the metal chest version, because there's a lot of variants. There's metal chest, plastic chest, whole bunch of crazy stuff. But if you can't get that, just get the Combiner Wars one. I love just that Combiner Wars mold of Hotspot. Just love it. Love it. Love those guys. They're so cool. They're so cool. They were my first combiner too. That's probably why I love them so much. But thank you for the super chat question, my friend. Let's see where we at here. Michael Koo wants to know, Proto Man, how well does the color changing plastic in G2 colors changers hold up over time? Any decaying issues? So one of the big issues with color changing plastic and why we don't see it that much anymore is a lot of times the agent that's used in color changing plastic, it settles and then it doesn't work anymore. It's hard to see, but I have a lot of the G2 ones all the way over. You could kind of see Auto Jetter there a little bit. Over time, they don't work anymore. It's just, it settles in. It's like it gets used to an environment and it settles in. The only time color changing plastic works well is when it's not plastic. It's when it's used on metal. Hot Wheels, color changing Hot Wheels, they seem to stand the test of time. There's just something about the paint bonding with a metal surface. It doesn't have that same chemical reaction. It works well. There might be still some G2 color changers that still kind of work, but it really has to do with the environment and how they were stored. Mine personally, some of them are stuck in their half in between colors. I know I have a Spider-Man figure that when you put it in water, it goes from Spider-Man's regular colors to the black costume colors. Like that was the gimmick. Now it's like permanently in between. It's like, it's not black, but it's not like the red costume. It's kind of like a maroon in between, and it doesn't work anymore just because of how the plastic settled over the years. It's very weird. And I mean, you don't see it that much anymore. You really don't. Like I'm trying to think of, there's probably some like girl brand toys that might still sport the gimmick and stuff with maybe with hair, but hair is a different kind of material too. But in general, we don't see it much with toys anymore. We really don't, because it doesn't have a good long-term kind of health. And considering that toys are more a collectible more than anything now, especially with the adult market, they just go with other gimmicks. They just do. It's a good question though, really good question, because it's something that if we had Aaron Archer here, it'd be really cool to flesh that out more, because he would definitely know stuff about that. I'm trying to think if he did anything with Star Wars that had color changing. I don't think so, because he had a lot of those gimmicky ones with Episode 1. No, all of that had that force chip stuff. They wouldn't have put anything underwater there. Either way, let's take a sip and then look at some more super chat questions. Once again, Super Chat always gets priority, guys. So just to let you know, I'm not ignoring your questions. I just have to sift through everything outside of the typical Super Chat stuff. And we'll grab this one here. Dear Proto, do you think Ironhide and Prowl 2-pack and the others could see re-release? Well, again, according to what Hasbro said... Oh, what's up, Damon? NWO for life. According to what Hasbro said from their Q&A, is they're recognizing which ones have sold really well. Like, which ones sold out, like, instantly. And those are the ones that they're more confident that if they do, like, let's say a second run, a re-release of, let's say, 1,000 units, that they feel Amazon won't be at risk of having dead stock. So it really is something where you'd have to tell me how fast did Prowl and Ironhide sell out as opposed to the Seeker Coneheads. And then that would create the confidence for Hasbro for stuff to know what to do. Because, like, I don't see them reissuing, like, Botropolis or what was the other one? The Mask 2-pack even. You know what I mean? Primarily because those guys didn't sell out right away. They sold out ultimately in the end, but it took a while. It took a while for that to happen. So you'd have to tell me, because I wasn't the one really experiencing it, because I didn't have the option to buy it, because I'm a dumb Canadian. But you'd have to tell me, like, did it sell out, like, instantly? Because I know those Seeker Jets, the Coneheads, there was a lot of drama, because those were like, boom, it was gone. And then it was being scalped like cray-cray. So you'd have to let me know that info. Mike Murray wants to know, any favorite non-toy TF merchandise you collect? I really like the blind box G.I. Joe versus Transformer figures. I love those, by the way. I love those because those are unique designs of, what was his name? Joe Spicoli? Was it Joe Spicoli? I love his designs. I wish they made transforming stuff of that, but that's a great line. That was done by Kid Robot. Non-transforming. I really like, me personally, mainly because I collected it all, it's kind of hard to see. I have almost the entire run of the SCF PVC line. This is a terrible shot. It's almost impossible to see. Let me see if I can lift the camera and show you guys. It's almost impossible to get that shot. That's the SCF PVC line at the top. It doesn't do it any justice because most of it is hiding behind that. But I love that line. It came out in 2001, 2002. And, yeah, this camera is just messing with me today. It came out in 2001, 2002, and it was a really good non-transforming Transformer line of Generation 1 characters, Armada characters, a little bit of G2 mixed in there. What a great line. Love it, love it. I kind of wish they did more of them, but, you know, in a lot of ways, they continued the Super SCF PVC line with that of RED, so it kind of has a spiritual successor in a small way. Small way, a little bit. I like that line, and I like... I guess we could say Creo, but Creo has a transforming element to it too. I guess I'm trying to see which I could swing to. Bot-bots, I'm not really... not bot-bots. Bot-shots, I'm not really a big fan of, but that does have a transforming element to it. What else has a non-trend? There's the 3-inch titaniums. I love that line. Those were fun. Those were cute. I wish they made more of those. They were going to make more. It just never happened. Just never happened. What else? What else? What else was non-transforming? We have the decoys. Decoys are really fun, too. I have a whole bunch of the Japanese ones. What else? What else? What else? I'm trying to think what else there was. You're making me think now. You're making me think. I don't know. I do not know. I do not know. Any cool non-transforming Beast Wars stuff? Can't really think of any outside of Japanese PVCs, I guess. Ah, well. Non-transforming, a lot of what Super 7 does. Yeah, that's true, Michael. That is true. Sadly, I don't have the new ones they made yet, the Ultimates. But I like their other stuff. I know a lot of people are not a fan of what they do in terms of the reaction stuff, because it really is like an acquired taste in a lot of ways. But I like it, especially when they do characters that, like, you know, never got a lot of figures. Like that Bonsaitron. How could you hate on that? Like that Ultimates Bonsaitron. Robot replicas. That's true. I have a huge, huge, huge collection of robot replicas. I love those. I love those too. Those were like the cool thing about Robo Replicas, where that was like the equivalency of us getting Revoltech, which is like a Japanese line, but like Revoltech in Toys R Us and Walmart and Target in America. Like when those came out in 2007, that was pretty cool. And I have like a whole huge line of those. They did those all the way up to the end of Revenge of the Fallen, and we got a lot of figures from that. Robot Heroes, that's another one too. I have almost all of those. All I'm missing is the prototype stuff. Those are pretty cool also. Pretender Shells. Pretender Shells are always awesome. I love my Pretender Shells. Love them. You can kind of see some of them over there. We got another super chat question from Lizard Sphere X. It's my favorite Dragon Ball character. Lizard Sphere X wants to know, I'd kill for an Optimus that paid homage to the Unicron trilogy, Armada truck and trailer, Energon torso and ports, and Cybertron super mode. Woof. You know, that's something we would have saw like in Power of the Primes, where they kind of mixed all the aesthetics together. I'll tell you this, Lizard, I think at some point we're going to get, let me just pull it up here. We're going to get Mr. in the top left over there. So at least you'll get your Armada fix, and then we'll see where they go from there. I will say third-party companies are kind of filling the void right now, so if you have the extra change and don't mind buying third-party, you can get that that feeling. You could get that Unicron trilogy feeling in the near future. But thank you for the super chat questions. Good idea, though. That's something if, again, Power of the Primes would have done. Power of the Primes would have easily done something like what you were saying. Kind of mix it up. The truck is the long-nosed truck, and then the torso is like Fatimus Energon Prime with the ports for, you know, Fire 1, Gyro 7, you know, all that. Well, Gyro 7. Gyro 4. And then the super mode with the mouthpiece and the wings. I love that figure. That was top tier Optimus Prime figure for a very long time. That guy. Very long time. That was a top tier figure. Michael Koo wants to know, Proto Man, I've heard that Mattel is going to release Shogun Warriors for their anniversary. Will there be trademark war with Mattel and Hasbro? Well, not really. I think Shogun Warriors is a trademark they've had for years and they've just never done anything with. I think the big issue is going to be what happens with Bandai, because are they going to use the designs from Mazinger Z, use the designs from Daimos, from Getter Robo, from Guy King, from Goldorak, aka UFO Grandizer? I know I'm forgetting somebody. Godzilla's in that line too. That's where it's going to get complicated. If they do something with Shogun Warriors, I think it's going to be all original characters, and it won't be able to be the spirit of what Shogun Warriors used to be. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's going to clash with Hasbro. Hasbro and those trademarks have nothing to do with each other. It's a Bandai thing at this point, in my opinion. But thank you, Michael, for the question. Collector Prime wants to know, Proto, what is your favorite non-Hasbro, non-Takara Transformer? That's a tough question, because what is a non-Hasbro, non-Takara Transformer? Do you mean stuff that was made by a third-party company? You don't have to super chat the answer, because I'm kind of curious about how I can answer that, because it's all pretty much made by Hasbro or licensed by Hasbro. So I think we'll have to follow that one up a little bit. Just a little bit, Collector Prime. You can just answer in the chat. I'll look for your name. Non-transforming figures. Do you think it is possible for Hasbro they could ever release a Megatron Ratchet monster that could be 3D printed, or if they want a real one? I think, honestly, Hasbro talked about this many years ago when they were doing a whole bunch of trademarking with doing stuff with 3D printing in the future. And I think that as 3D printing is going to become more of a mainstay in households, I think when Hasbro knows that there's a good install base of 3D printing per household, they're going to start rolling out the idea of downloadable content for 3D printing. That's what I think. But that's really dependent on the install base. It's kind of like how you had like CD burners, right? Like CD burners in computers. They were practically non-existent in 1995, 96. But by 2001, they were practically in every single computer tower installed. And it's when they start doing that install base, we'll see what happens. And then, like, if there's more people that have 3D printers, then Hasbro will want to do something like that. For sure. Faux show. Collector, you still didn't respond back, brother? Let me know I need a follow-up for that. For that one. We got Ghidorah #1. King Ghidorah #1. What's going on with the toy rights for the Brave franchise, and is it possible for Takara to ever revive the line like they did with Diaclone? #1, Japan, like I've said many times in the past, have very different trademark laws than what we have here in the West. They don't have to constantly be putting out product to keep a trademark. So once, I think like the last thing we had with like old Brave stuff, I'm not really like, let's not talk about Gal Geiger, but let's talk about like X Kaiser, Firebird, Jay Decker. I could go on and on with all the others too. Dagarn. I think that the last time they did anything with that brand was they did when the Kabaya model kits were really a thing. Remember when there was the G1 Kabaya model kits, where they did like all the different characters and stuff from G1 lore of Japan? That was the last time we saw really throwbacks to that old Brave stuff, like that early 90s Brave stuff. I'm pretty sure at some point they're going to revisit it again. I know that Takara loves that brand, and they tried with that Masterpiece line, with the Brave Masterpiece line. No one bought it, which was killer because I bought it. I loved it. I love X Kaiser. X Kaiser to me is like a cousin Transformer series. But they just didn't do anything with it. Diaclone, I think it's just, they did something with Diaclone because there's people that work at Takara that worked on that brand and have a huge love for it. Kojin Ono, I just talked about Kojin Ono on my Twitter, who's the designer for both MP Skids that's coming up and the original Skids from 1982 from Diaclone Car Robot. And a lot of those old designers are still at Takara, and they just sit up and go, hey, yo, I really liked working on that stuff. I'd like to see it again. So if any of that old guard from Brave is still around, maybe some of those would step up and go, hey, I'd like to see some more X Kaiser. I would love to see more X Kaiser and God Max and, all those really cool repaints we could get of crossover figures. Be really fun. I would love that a lot. I really would. I really, really would. But thank you for the question, Ghidorah. It's a good question. We got a gold super chat. Gold super chat from Stinkfist69. This Netflix series has been a letdown. I'm hoping for the next series to be more in the way like they did Prime, lots of Ep style, maybe a Shattered Glass series. What are your thoughts? Thanks, and keep it thick. I'm not that thick, am I? I'm actually quite in shape. The problem I've said many times is it's like Cyberverse's issue was episodes were too short. The Netflix stuff, the episodes are normal runtime, but you only have 6 of them. You got to have that balance. You got to have 13 to 26 episodes, and they have to be 21 minutes to 30 minutes each. And then you're able to flesh out characters. And that's what Transformers is about, fleshing out those characters. So, to me, the biggest weakness with those Netflix series is just when you have 6 episodes to tell a story, it's a breakneck pace. It's crazy. Like, that is not enough time to really tell a whole story, compounded with the fact that the budget is limited, unfortunately. And that's an unfortunate truth, but the Netflix budget is so limited that there's only so many designs. I mean, the thing that I was telling people about Earthrise, how many characters transformed in Earthrise? I think like 3, and that was it. A Transformer series they couldn't even afford to make character models of the alt modes for transformations. It wasn't in the budget. It really wasn't. It's a shame, but it's true. And actually, Optimus was one of them, but that was a carryover from Siege. I mean, I really loved that Jetfire episode. Not Jetfire. Bite my tongue. Skylinks episode. But that Skylinks episode was all about Skylinks, and then he was gone. And it's just like, imagine if we had like a full 26 episode series. We could build up the character of Skylinks. We could fall in love with Skylinks, and then lose them. I hope I'm not spoiling for people here. And then lose that character, and then it makes a bigger impact. But we were like introduced to him, and then less than 15 minutes later, the character is out of our lives. And that's not how you write things. Why was the death of Dinobot in Beast Wars so important? Because we had that character from episode 1 of season 1. We went 26 episodes with that, and then went another 7 episodes of that character with the bickering and the rat trap and the everything going on and the vermin and the lizard lips. And we learned to love that character, that when he died in Code of Hero, it was a big impact. Imagine we were introduced to Dinobot in episode 1 of Beast Wars Part 1, and he was killed off 15 minutes into the episode. It doesn't have the same impact. You don't have that dedication to that character. So it's very important, very, very important to have that kind of writing style. But I mean, there's a lot of limitations, and I don't want to blame too much, the guys who currently work on the show, but they really need to figure out a way to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. That's what, it's an old wrestling saying, but it's true. Like, you got to figure out a way to make chicken salad out of chicken shit, because right now it's chicken shit, man. It really is. I mean, there's a lot better Transformer series, but that one is it's a solid 7. It's not terrible, but man, with the platform you have, you should be better. You should be better, because you're presenting for a huge audience during a time now where everyone is at home because of the big V, and now you have people that'll be watching a Transformer Netflix series in a world where they probably would have never watched it if they would have been able to go out on a Saturday night. And that's important for Hasbro from their PR standpoint, and they need to understand that, because you're losing out on a whole audience of people that you could be selling them their first cigarette, their first plastic crack toy, and you have a fan for life. And if not a fan for life, a fan for a period of time that at least you can make some kind of money for your next quarterly to brag about how much money you made to your investors. Keep that in mind. It's a very deep question, but it's when you talk in the business side, I'm going to get into that deep. And I know a lot of people don't like to hear about the business side of Transformers because it's confusing to them and they just want to get their product. But it's so important to understanding what's going on, why things happen, and why sometimes things don't happen. So I hope that answers it in a nutshell. But it's a lot. It's a lot. Thank you for the super chat question, my friend. Did Collector respond back? Collector, where you at, brother? Where you at? Did you respond back to the question that I posed to you? You didn't, brother. Where you at, man? I'm waiting. Where we have here. What advice do you have for collectors where a deluxe costs up to $300 in your country's money? Well, I'll be honest with you. It's one of those things that if your exchange rate is so bad that it's difficult to get that kind of product, you probably should work out. Oh, there's Aaron Archer. You should probably work out something with maybe some local fans to send you some stuff over. And then you'd be getting practically gold in the mail. I know that for the longest time, a lot before like the Chinese RMB was much more powerful, getting official Transformer product was pricey as hell for Chinese people. Like, you were just better off getting a bootleg. But, obviously the RMB has gone up since then. The middle class has increased, so that's not the case anymore. But, Collector Prime, okay, I'll repeat your question in a moment. Sorry that you lost your connection there. But yeah, like, I'm telling you, Pedro, like, I think you would probably need get some really good friends in the Western world of Transformers of the United States that could probably hook you up with some good sweet deluxes, especially if they get really cheap. I know, like, sometimes they go on crazy clearance. You get $5 deluxes from Ollie's or something, or 5 under. I think that's 5 under is a thing in the States. That's there's always a way. There's always a way. The fandom could hook you up, just like the fandom hooks me up with some cool stuff. Where we at? Okay, so Collector, your question was, where is it? You asked me, Collector. You said, what is your favorite non-Hasbro or non-Takara Transformers? And what I meant by, what I was curious to follow up the question was, do you mean third party? Because in all honesty, if it's a Transformer product, it's licensed by those two companies. It's very rare that you'll have something that's the Transformer brand that's independent of Hasbro or Takara. So do you mean third party stuff? If you mean third party, then I do have an answer. We'll get to your question in a moment when I get to that response. In the meantime, we will go with, hey, Protoman, is there an upper limit to the number of active trademarks Hasbro is willing to have? No, there's no limit. As long as they pay, they could have 1 billion. It's just a matter of them taking care of those trademarks. That's what prevents people from going crazy and having 1 billion of them. Is that if you have 1 billion trademarks, you got to take care of all those trademarks. And there's only so much product you could put out a year. So that's where it's kind of important, You could have 1 million. You could have 1 million of them, but I mean, the Bots line with all those unique names, my goodness. I don't know what the hell they're going to do with those. So you did mean third party. So my favorite third party Transformer, and I've said this a lot of times, I really like DX9 Carry. Let me just swing around to him over there. And you can barely see him. There he is, and he has a glare on his face. That is just good luck. DX9 Carry is easily my favorite third-party Transformer. It's a Studio Ox Obari design of Rodimus based off of his Transformer 2010 Japanese 1986 manga design. It looks sexy as hell, and I would love it if they did more figures in that style. Some people say that the Commander Class Rodimus and the Galvatron has a flavor of Obari's Ox design in it. Not completely, but it's there. And I could see what they're talking about. I really like it a lot. I really do. Aside from that, I really like when third party does stuff that I would imagine Hasbro would never do because it would be impossible. Like there was that third party kit of the Super Mario Brothers using the animated designs, like it was Super Mario Transformers. I love that as a video game collector. I think they're really cool, and because Nintendo is such a hard ass from when it comes to their properties and licenses, I love the fact this is the closest we'll probably get to transforming Super Mario figures from a Transformer perspective. So I dig that a lot, and I'm happy that it exists. I really do, because it looks awesome. Looks really awesome. And that's a pricey set now, unfortunately. It was when it first came out, it was $100. Then it spiked to $200. Then it dropped to $50 when Big Bad Toy Store got a bunch of them, and now it's I think it's back at $200 again. It's all over the place. I'm pretty sure maybe someone's selling them cheap on eBay one day. They're called Bluster and Trench from Mech Ideas, for people that are curious. Nice little set of dudes. I think I did a review of them many years ago. I don't remember. So long ago. I know I did the comic with them. And Josh Perez did the amazing box art. Hey, Proto, what's going on with the fourth wave of Kingdom? It seems like the figures of Waspman or Tigatron might be getting placed in the Golden Disc subline instead. Yeah, the rumor is that there's two different rumors. I can't confirm either one of them, but the one rumor is we're not going to get a Wave 4, and it's going to be cut short, and instead we're going to go into that Golden Disc subline thing. The other rumor is we are going to get a Wave 4, and the Golden Disc thing is just a separate thing that's going to happen alongside at the same time, and we're supposedly going to get 2 Tigatrons in 2 different paint schemes, and it's going to be like similar to like a Golden Disc line or something. Not a Golden Disc, a Netflix line. But nothing confirmed, unfortunately, at the moment. We don't know enough information on that. That's all based off of Walmart listing links and leaks, and we just don't know enough yet. Don't know enough. Where are we at? Dear Proto, if Mainframe has incorporated a buzzsaw or a Laserbeak into Beast Wars, what would you have wanted their characterization to be? Well, technically we got both of those technically in Beast Wars from the 2006 Bakhan box set, where they were kind of working for the Tripredacus agents. And I would imagine that would make sense. You got Ravage, espionage kind of thing. So the rest of the Soundwave cassettes working for the Tripredacus Council, I could see them working as assassins, especially Buzzsaw and Laserbeak, 2 badass flight characters. I know Laserbeak was always kind of like in his bio played out as like an interrogator, and he could tear you apart. So I like that idea. And again, that was something I think, I don't know who wrote that 2006 book. I think it was Benson Yee. Could be wrong. Maybe it was Jesse. But I like that idea. I like that idea of them working for the Tripredacus Council. Just makes sense, really, when you really think about it. Oh man, we're almost done. We got 40 minutes left, guys. Jeez, it flew today. 40 minutes left for the super chats. Hey, Proto. With the way costs are going up and down, you talked about the gimmicks of light-ups, sound gimmicks, Cybertron keys, and things of the past. So will we see them down the road? I feel that the light-up gimmicks, they still exist. It's just we don't see them in anything that's kind of the generation stuff. Like, to give an example, we have the Battle Call line from Cyberverse, where it was like it's a LED in the chest and it reacted to sound. We still have those gimmicks. It's just we have them in gimmick-based lines like the Cyberverse line or the Bumblebee movie line. They had like a light-up kind of gimmick too. We still see them. It's just you probably won't see light-up sounds and gimmicks used in a Generations Classics kind of line. Like we back in the day, we used to have that leader class. Was it a leader class? It was Ultra class Power Glide that had a light-up gimmick and everything. They're kind of trying to move away from that, but that was kind of a different era. The Collector line tries to keep it more streamlined with plastic and articulation and paint apps, while the gimmick lines, you could have less paint, but you could put an LED light or a light-up gimmick or a sound gimmick or a flipping gimmick or something like that. We got a super chat question from Michael Koo. Protoman, I love the Ultra Magnus light piping. How much does light piping add to the feature of Transformer action figures? I think a lot so. I think that light piping makes a lot of Transformer figures look cool. The only problem is to get the light piping to work, you got to have enough real estate space in the back of the head. And sometimes when you're talking certain designs, like let's say Shockwave, it would look kind of weird if you had like a big yellow like block of clear plastic on the back of his head. Certain characters you would be able to, like Galvatron, you could get away with it because it would hide behind the crown, but other characters would be kind of tough. So it works, but it doesn't work. It really depends on the character. It really does. Like, again, Shockwave would be a difficult one. Or even like, or then there's characters that just would be like, it would cool if they had, like, say, like Bludgeon with like red skull eyes glowing, but then the back of his samurai head would have to have that like smooth block of clear plastic, and who knows if they'd want to do that. Where are we at here? We got so many super chats popping up here. We got hey Proto, this is from Downright Superb. Why do the Hasbro trademarks they lost really matter when it consistently make new names such as Trail Cutter, Skull Smasher, Wirewolf, Skytread, etc.? Well, all those names you listed were them having to use alternative names because they couldn't use those ones. Trail Cutter was because they couldn't use Trailbreaker. Now apparently they could use Trailbreaker again. Skull Smasher, I think they're using Skull Cruncher again, so they managed to get that one back. Wolfwire, apparently because they couldn't use Wirewolf. Weird Wolf, excuse me. Skytread, I don't know why that one they couldn't use, because that one I know is not, it's really, it's not that they're making new names, it's that they have to make something because the old one isn't accessible. That's the problem. And after they get Trailbreaker, then they'll just make more Trailbreaker characters every 4 years. Here's our deluxe figure. Give it 4 years. Oh, we're going to do an RED one. Oh, we got another 4 years. Oh, let's do a Creo or a Bot Shot or a this or a that. Oh, we're going to put Trailbreaker in this new series of Cyberverse. Oh, we're going to make a movie Trailbreaker figure. They'll figure out something. But all of those ones you listed, I believe Trail Cutter is no longer used because they could use Trailbreaker now. Skull Smasher, I believe someone would have to confirm that one with me because I know they used Skull Smasher for the Cyberverse thing, but they didn't use it for the reissue retro one. You'd have to confirm that with me. Downright superb. I have to look it up. Joseph Ritter wants to know, now that Huffer is the greatest Autobot of all time, has been made, what other mini-bots would you like to get? Me personally, I want to see my boy Braun and, as a result, his repaint, retool brother of Outback. I would love to see those two get deluxe scale modern toys. I mean, he got a lot of great toys. Don't get me wrong. Like, he had that cool Legend scale. Then they did that more like Scout class one with the Titan class. Like, there was some great Braun toys. Don't get me wrong, but I would love a nice deluxe class just because it would fit so well in that like masterpiece display. Because it's the same thing. I look at the deluxe Huffer, and I could put that next to my masterpiece Bumblebee, and it kind of works. It kind of works really well. So to me, like every time we get a deluxe mini bot in these Generations-esque, War for Cybertron lines, we're getting a little masterpiece for our collection. So I dig it. I would love those. I would love him. And second place, I'd have to go with maybe Beachcomber. Just because Beachcomber doesn't get enough love. And it'd be cool because you could do Beachcomber, then you could do a cool Chrome G2 Beachcomber, then you could do a gold Beachcomber for like, the Golden Lagoon. There's a kind of few cool color schemes you could do with Beachcomber. That'd be a fun one because you always have to think about the repaints afterwards. And there's always fun stuff you could do there. Why does it matter that Hasbro could make new names anyways? Well, here's the thing. To make a name, you got to trademark it. To trademark it, you got to pay for it if it's a new one. To keep it, it's a different story. But so it's spending money. And when you're a company, you want to keep your costs down. You want to keep it low. Have those investors happy for your quarterly report and your finance. I think I saw another question. Let me just scroll up here. Mitch Santona asked, hey there, Proto. Speaking of third-party and animated, think of any third-party companies will ever tackle more of some of those characters we never got. I would love it if they did more animated third-party stuff. I feel like the 3D printing world is picking up the slack that third-party isn't doing, but the sad truth is not everyone has a 3D printer, and 3D printing doesn't have that final smooth quality of a factory-produced product from an assembly line that a third-party product has. Because I know like those Constructicons, I've been seeing people building some of those third-party 3D printed Constructicons from Animated, and those look delicious. I love those a lot. They look really good. But man, why isn't anyone getting on that? I feel like a while back we talked about it on the podcast and just nothing came of it, which is just weird because I know, like, the sad truth is when Bluster and Trench was created, those third-party guys, from what I was told from Mech Ideas, they didn't sell well, which is crazy when you think about it, but they didn't sell well. I loved those molds. They were amazing, but apparently they didn't sell enough to justify doing more. Because if they did, I mean, even TFCon was going like, hey, do you want to do another color run? Do you want to do like Mario Starman colors and Luigi with the Fire Flower, or Wario and Waluigi, like Waluigi, excuse me, like there's so many color schemes that we could have done with those molds alone, but it just didn't sell well. And that sucks because that kind of put a limitation on a lot of what could have been done. Repaints are key because it get back all of that design costs. It's a headache. And speaking of it, you have here, Dear Proto, would you like to see Kingdom Fractal and Pack Rat 2-pack? Well, when we see that pterosaur when the day comes, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. I'm pretty sure. Pack Rat, historically already, has had his Generations Rat Trap repaint. So now we have the core class one. It's only a matter of time. And same thing with Fractal. You know? Same thing with Fractal. Fractal got his repaint from a technically a pterosaur mold from the club. So it's just a matter of time when we get that pterosaur mold, we'll see both those characters again, for sure. That's a trademark thing that I could set my watch to and it'll happen. You know, there's certain trademarks and characters that you just know it's coming within the next 4 years before its expiration. There's got to be something. Says here, there's a woman in Sweden who made a 3D printed non-transforming IDW Tarantulas figure. It looks awesome. I want a Fox Kids Primeval Dawn version. And those colors, those beautiful black colors, yeah. That's an expensive figure, too, in the secondary market. I remember a friend of mine was looking for it, and I looked it up for him, and I was like, oof, I didn't realize it was going for that much. But then again, a lot of those were late wave Beast Wars, so they're a little more difficult to track down, unfortunately. You love those molds, Mitch. Yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. I love those molds, too, and it just sucks that not a lot of other people bought them. I guess everyone was just so G1 hungry at the time. What year was that? God, what year was that? I think that was 2012? No. I think it was 13 or 14 that came out. I'm looking at mine right now. I love those things. They're so cool, and they're so good for photography. Dear Proto, would you be interested in a new Voyager or Leader class Thunderclash? Well, of course. Thunderclash is a cool toy. His original toy was awesome. Such a shame that a lot of people weren't able to enjoy him. The best you could probably get, and even then it was kind of a slightly different mold, was the Machine Wars Optimus Prime. And then we got the BotCon one, which was just a repaint of Energon Rodimus. And then we got an homage through, what do you call it? Through Transformers Prime Legend Scale. Optimus Prime through the Target exclusive colors through Beast Hunters. So not a lot of Thunderclash love, unfortunately. But because of James Roberts' books, a lot of people like to talk about him. He's a good character. Where are we at here? How many masterpieces do you have and which one is better? I have a lot of them. Because I don't put a single dime into Masterpiece third party, every dime goes into Masterpiece official. Probably my favorite Masterpieces would have to go to the Beast Wars stuff. I'd probably say Dinobot and Optimus are really up there. Tigatron is there too. But then I really like Shockwave and Starscream and the version 2.0. I haven't gotten the 3.0 yet. Soundwave was pretty perfect. The Lambors, they're all great. There's, for every time there's a masterpiece that's a big disaster of QC or something, like let's say a Hound or maybe people don't like Trax or something, you get like some guys that just knock it out of the park. Look, I love Hot Rod, but I won't say like, MP28 I think it was any good. I think it was an okay masterpiece, but not like super great. But I mean, I loved like the Wheeljack one and Exhaust, like those were great. Datsun Brothers were amazing, just all the history with all of those. The new Bumblebee. I could go on and on. I could go on and on. I could go on and on and on. Hey, Proto, do you think if there is another Netflix series? Oh, there will be. I already lost my spot. If there's another Netflix series, they would use the evergreen designs, old designs, or new ones. It's going to be whatever is the current flavor du jour toy that they have to market, which would be the smart thing to do from a business standpoint. If you're going to put all that time and energy into a 30-minute commercial, you damn well going to put the toys in it for sure. You gotta. You gotta. Proto, when do you think we will get an update on Cosmos and Sea Spray? Sooner or later. When was the last Cosmos trademark? 2017, so very soon probably. That was a reissue, I believe. And Sea Spray was in Titan's Return or Power of the Primes. I don't think there was anything else around the board. When whatever the last figure was, is you could pretty much count it to your watch when you're going to see the next ones. Hasbro is never going to lose those trademarks. Those are upper crust trademarks that they like to keep. Dear Proto, do you own a Mastermind creation? No, I again, when it comes like third party, I'm very picky. I'm very picky. Like, it's got to be something that I'm confident Hasbro will never do. Like, Studio Ox design Rodimus, that's one thing because I love Rodimus, but when you really see like what I bought of third party that exists, it's weird stuff. It's like the Dino King piggy bank pretender shells that are like this big. It's oh my god, it's a lot of weird stuff. Like at the third party Quintessons, because for the longest time I thought we're never going to get non-transforming Quintesson figures of the Bailiff and stuff. We finally did in the end. They're kind of tiny, but the point is that, you know, that's the stuff that I would buy of third party. Or if it's stuff I worked on, because I'm selfish like that. So if I wrote the bio for something, I'm going to have the third party figure of it. But that's about it, really. Hey, Proto, do you think they will do the rest of the Legendary 7 in core class scale? I think so, with the exception of Devastator. I think definitely, like, well, when you think about it, look, Bumblebee technically, we got a Bumblebee technically from that non-buzzworthy Bumblebee one, the one that uses the bumper mold. We got Optimus Prime, we got Starscream, we got Soundwave, we got Megatron. That's 5 right there. All we're missing that's left is Grimlock and Devastator. We're probably not going to have a Grimlock in that scale yet because we have something going on with the leader class from Studio Series 86, but I could see it at some point. We're going to get a little mini Dino Grimlock, and he'll be adorbs, and he'll come with a sword or his gun. So I could see it happening. As for Devastator, not in core class. No siree. But we will see a Devastator soon. For sure. For sure. That's a door that's going to be knocked on again very soon. Let's put it this way. Studio Series movie Devastator really kind of pushed it for a few more years, but it's coming back. It's coming back, yo. Yeah, Proto didn't get that Cosmos. In Peru, distribution is horrendous. Me too, my friend. Distribution in Quebec is horrendous. That's why I got brothers from another mothers sending me stuff from Netflix series and everything, because I ain't gonna find this here. Is Shockwave your favorite G1 era Decepticon? Probably. I'd have to say so. I always found that most of the G1 Decepticons are kind of bland in general. So, you know, like, yeah, Starscream's fun, Megatron is fun, Frank Welker did a good job with it, but I really like Shockwave. I mean, maybe some of those Master Force and Victory era Decepticons are really good too, like Hellbat or Lyozak. But if we're talking really 84, 85, 86 G1 America, yeah, Shockwave's probably going to win it easily. He's just cool design, cool character, and his Marvel Comics version was amazing. Amazing. We got 20 minutes left. Oh my goodness. I thought it was gonna be a long one today due to the lack of news, but man, got a lot going on. Per, do you think HasLab Devastator would work? I think it would be a good place. If HasLab is going to do something that's going to be their big focus, because think about it this way, right? We got Unicron, right? And it took like 2.5 years until, like, from hyping it in 2019 to actually getting it in 2021. a good solid 2 years. So whatever they're going to hitch their wagon to, it's got to be a good promotional item. And Devastator is about as iconic as it gets for combiners and big, beefy Transformers. So if you're going to do the HasLab thing and you're going to be touring all the cons and you're going to be like going to San Diego Comic-Con and having booths with that and being interviewed and talking about your HasLab and all that, it's got to be a character that has some prestige and history. You're not going to do some HasLab, Tidal Wave. And sure, look, I love Tidal Wave. I think he's a cool character, but it doesn't have that prestige that is associated with the Transformers brand from a long period standpoint. Maybe in 20 years, but not right now. There's like literally, I think in its entire history, there's like 5 toys that have the Tidal Wave trademark attached to it. Dear Proto, do you think Nyx should be Sonar instead? No, I like the idea of Nyx being the Bat Primal. It gives that mold some history and character to finally be excited about. And it gives a chance for people to just do brand new head sculpts and put it on your pre-existing toys. That's where 3D printing's for. Where we at with the super chats? Orlando Chavez, no question, just showing some support. Deal with it. Thank you, Orlando. But ask a question, brother. I know people like to just support the podcast, but ask a question. Annie says she loves Starscream. Do you? I know you do. You love Starscream. Where we at? Hey, Proto. Where are we at? I saw one somewhere. Sorry, I have to scroll through everything here. HasLab is the next doing Mystery Fantastic Four project. Oh, for their Marvel stuff? I don't know, man. Like, their Sentinel was pretty impressive. Like, I watched that stream during the Fan Fest. Man, that Sentinel, I'm kind of jealous of those Marvel Legends fans. Like, they got a really good product with that Sentinel. Some really passionate creators there. Good stuff, let me tell you. Did you like the Shockwave design in Dark of the Moon? I loved that design. I just hate how he was used. He didn't transform. He was part of like that drill thing. And I honestly believed, looking at the trailers, I thought, and I know it was like, they wanted to trick the fans and think like Shockwave was going to be the main villain. And, it's a complete 180. It was actually Sentinel Prime, and I fell for it. But I really wanted Shockwave to be the focus of the film. That would have been really cool to have him as like the main villain. And have him like, if he would have had like a good voice actor, and he would have been really cool to use. Love the design, hate the execution with the movies. Seems to be always a problem with those Bay movies. Got the Symbiote Studio Starscream, too cute for words. You love it, eh? I got mine. Oh, the bag stuck to him. I got mine. Ain't he cute? Look how big he is, too. Look at that. Look at that. The wings and everything. He's awesome. Alrighty. SymbioteStudios.com. Might as well just pimp it. Check them out, too. Get their cool stuff. Figured I'd bring that up. Mystery Fantastic Four. I guess it could either be the Fantasticar in scale with the whole team. Yeah, I could see that. That'd be cool. Cool Fantasticar. Fit Thing in there. I love my Thing. Thing is cool. Big old blue eyes, Ben Grimm. Hey, Proto, do you think Walmart will still want a subline of their own after Netflix? Oh, are you kidding me? With all the money they were making from all those other exclusives? Walmart literally had its own mini convention for their stuff. Clearly, they're making tons of money for it. The hire PR guys and to get all the hype, we're going to see more for sure. I know people don't like exclusives. I get that. Trust me, someone like me, we ain't getting any of this where I come from. We always get shafted with the exclusives, but I see it still happening. It just makes sense. It's business. Good old business. Hey, Proto, do you think we would be cool if we get a studio that did an animation for Avatar, Korra, Voltron? I would love some of those really good 2D animation studios to do Transformer stuff. But give me 22 minutes. Give me 13 to 26 episode seasons. Don't give me a 2D animated show and it's 10-minute episodes and the whole season is only like 10 episodes. Like, blah. I'd rather not have it then, in all honesty. The good news is that we got a super chat from Joseph Ritter. The good news is that in the other multiverse, Michael Bay doesn't exist. I wish he lived in that reality. You know what's funny? I never told this story. I wish Phil was here. Phil was one of the old co-hosts on the Transformer Slag podcast back in the day. Anyone who listened to the really old episodes of Transformer Slag back in like 10 years ago, 2010. And Michael Bay was at BotCon, and he avoided everybody, Michael Bay. But Michael Bay was walking to his limo, and Phil saw him from like far away and just beeline towards him, and he was like, "Oh my god, it's Michael Bay," and just started just like walking straight towards him, and we're like, "Oh my god, Phil's dead. Security's gonna tackle him." Somehow he got past security and went, "Michael Bay, big fan, really like your stuff." And Michael Bay was like, yeah, shook his hand and got into the limo. And we were just joking, like I can imagine Michael Bay going like, "Oh my god, I touched one of them." You know? Like he avoided I think it was, what year was that? That was BotCon 2011? Was it 11? What year was the Michael Bay year? No, it wasn't 2011. Was it? Animated year. I don't remember. Might have been 2011. Had to have been, because it was the West Coast ones. Yeah, it was the animated year, 2011. But I just remember that story, and it's just funny dude. Funny dude, Phil. I miss Phil on the podcast. Dear Proto, do you prefer Teletran 1 or Auntie? Auntie is fine, but I found that because Auntie was never fleshed out as much as Teletran 1, we just lean more towards Teletran 1. I think that if Auntie was given a voice that we could hear in our head and more of a character that we could kind of associate with it, I think we'd hear more of that version. Unfortunately, we don't. And then you could give the argument that Teletran 1 is female, because she's an auntie. Hey, Proto, which one is the worst toy in the Unicron trilogy? Worst toy in the Unicron trilogy. Everyone always goes with Armada Sideswipe, but I'm not going to go with Armada Sideswipe because I love his alt mode. He turns into a Nissan Skyline, and he comes with a Minicon named Nightbeat, so I can't argue with that. And he has the cool storage gimmick. I need something that really sucks. Let's go with Lugnuts, the motorcycle. Kind of a weird design. Kind of all hangs on his back. Kibble. Never was a fan of that one. One of the lesser ones, I guess. Like, you have, what's his name? The other motorcycle from Speedia. That's like a way better motorcycle design with the clear wheels. I'll go with Lugnuts. Even though it kind of gave us our first ever lug nut kind of street trademark without the Z. I'll go with that. I probably could think of something else, but I'm just kind of staring at the whole display here and just going like, I don't know. It's because like there's lug nuts over there, a little orange. Because I like Backstop. He's kind of cool, little rhino. Even like the Unicron from Burger King. Got Nitro Convoy, the best of the best. A lot of cool stuff. Let's see. We have 10 minutes left. Laserbeak. Aaron Archer says the worst is Laserbeak, which is, you can't see it. Laserbeak's all the way up there, unfortunately. Too much orange. And too much anime girl. That's the Gyro Zetter line by Bandai. Not Bandai, Konami. Aaron Archer says Laserbeak. What a nightmare that toy was, I can only imagine. That hot yellow. And the proper colors that were only in the instruction manual. The grays and the reds. Let's see. We got 10 minutes left. Let's see. Hey, Proto, what would you say to the most significant thing that came out of BotCon over the years? I would say G2 Breakdown, but I'd like to hear it from you. The most significant thing probably to come out of BotCon, I would say, is Shattered Glass. Shattered Glass is what is living on in the future from BotCon. That was a BotCon 2008 creation between Jesse Wetherich, Pete Sinclair, and Benson Yee. And I mean, it's pretty much using the old mirror universe Star Trek idea, but it's something from BotCon that still lives on to this very day. Still a beloved idea that people like. Aside from that, I'm trying to see what else. Something else. I don't know. Their pre-Beast Wars stuff is sticking around pretty good, even though they change it every so often. But I'd have to go with Shattered Glass. That's kind of without question. Where are we at here? Hey, Proto, do you think it would be cool if the studio did... Oh, yeah, I read that one already. Yeah, I think it would be cool, but they're going to have to do something that has a longer runtime. Longer runtime, more episodes. Longer runtime is key, in my opinion, even though it's hard to work that with the attention span today of some of these kids. Any thoughts on getting Autobot utility or construction vehicles? Well, we got Grapple not too long ago from Earthrise. Maybe if we could get a Erector figure at some point, that'd be really cool. Or Hauler. Why don't we get Hauler? It's a shame that that's only a Japanese trademark, Road Hauler. That'd be cool to get. You know, to just take that Grapple mold and just give it the Hauler colors of Constructicon colors. That'd be really cool. I'd dig that. I'd buy that. Make that a Generation Selects exclusive. But then you gotta have the trademark. Alejandro asks with the super chat question. Thank you, Alejandro. Where was the place you saw they mentioned Victory as in Transformers Victory? I would love a new Lio Kaiser. So the production images for Deep Cover, the Generation Selects, behind him, written in Cybertronian, it said Victory. Now, one could interpret it as Transformer Victory, or one could interpret it as Victory as in the actual word Victory. So it could be that. I have Deep Cover here. I can't wait to open it. Thank you, Spider Monkey. But that's where we saw that. It doesn't really mean that we're getting a Transformers Victory series. It was something that was in the background written in Cybertronian. Maybe it was a suggestion. Maybe it was secret code written by Hasbro to let us know what the next thing is going to be. Or maybe it's just literally Victory. Just like how, you know, a lot of these packaging for these Generation Selects, it says War right on the cover, you know? So we'll see what happens with that in the future. Hey, Proto, I don't know if there has been any combiners that have comprised of sea-based vehicles. Technically not. Technically not. There has been ones that have had a sea vehicle. Like Landcross had a sea vehicle member, but with a whole bunch of other stuff. But never a whole team of them, unfortunately. But it'd be cool if you could do something that has good variety. Like the main component could be a battleship, because that would be something large. And then you could have something that's an arm that's a different kind of boat and that. But never anything that's been like a whole team, unfortunately. There has been, again, individual members that have been components, but never a whole team. I heard Hasbro has the rights to GoBots. They've always had, since they bought out Tonka back in the day. How about a show or toy line with updated GoBots versus Transformers? Well, here's the history of it. They buy Tonka back in, 1991? They get the GoBot trademarks. They just don't get the GoBot molds because those are owned by Poppy, which are owned by Bandai of Japan. They took the GoBot brand. They did the GoBots, which are known as the Spy Changers. And that was in Generation 2. Then they did the GoBots, the Fisher-Price based line. This is the prototype to what would be years later as Rescue Bots. And then they would throw some GoBot trademarks around on mini cons. We got Leader 1, Fightor, Coptor. Once in a while we couldn't get Crasher, so they did Fracture. Once in a while we get a GoBot. Once in a while. I'd like to see a GoBot line, but I think Hasbro, while they own the GoBot brand, I don't think they want to acknowledge the GoBot brand. I think they kind of want to leave that in the past. We beat them, we own them, goodbye, And the only time we'll acknowledge them is in passing once in a while. The Molly J wants to know, thank you for the super chat, Molly J, do you think we will get more weaponizer modulators or fossilizer style figures after War for Cybertron is over? I hope so. I mean, I was hoping for more modulators going into Kingdom, but it really has to do with the flavor of what they want to do things. Here's the thing. They're going to look at the sales of the fossilizers, and then they're going to decide if they want to march forward with it. Because modulators was just unfortunately an Earthrise thing, and they milked the hell out of those molds and just repainted them 3 times over. I loved them, but apparently they didn't sell well. So I was alone with that. And he says here, Daniel is the original Google. I'm the original Transformer Wiki. That's what I always like to say. Bandai still has the rights to the mold. Yep, like I said, which was Poppy originally. Poppy was the original ones that had the mold, and then Bandai got them. And now they license them out to Action Toys. And that's why we have our new Action Toys GoBots line. So if you want official, updated, masterpiece-esque generation-style GoBots, check out Action Toys' website. They make some really good stuff. They get all these free plugs from me. So terrible. Considering Hasbro has the GoBots under a permanent timeout. Yeah, in a lot of ways. Alejandro wants to know, history question, is there a G1 Blackout? Yes, there is. Asking mainly so I could complete my G1 Bayverse. So, G1 Blackout, the Blackout trademark was originally part of the G1 Combiners. Let me pull up a picture of him. 1 second, guys. Because I don't want to have to go get the Micromaster behind me over there. So I'll just pull him up for you easily here. Let me go get him for you. So here is... there is... Come on, focus. Focus! There's Blackout anyways. He's the one with the green face. There you go, Blackout. Braku-autu. Part of this big play set here. So there's your Blackout. He came with a guy way back in the day called Space Shot. Maybe one day Hasbro will revisit that. Look at my beat up. Look how beat up my old Generations book was. This was my reference book back in the day. I used to love this thing. I need to get a perfect copy of this. I want the non-deluxe version. This is the non-deluxe one. I want another copy of it just so I could have a minty one. But so yeah, that's where the trademark first came from. And then there was a Blackout in the our Energon line. It was a helicopter that was purple that was part of the Bruticus Maximus combiners. So that's where then the trademark went afterwards. So you got 2 Blackouts you got to track down, my friend, that aren't Michael Bay related. But yeah, there's that. And we got 1 minute left on the stream. What the F? Are we done already tonight? Jeez, yeah, it's already 10 o'clock coming up. Man, that sucks. All right, I'll take one more super chat question. One more, and then we'll call it quits for today. And that'll be it. And then that'll be it for all my beautiful people here on the podcast. But yeah, getting back to what I was saying, Alejandro, Blackout, get him. He's over there. He's unfortunate. I think I made Blackout the leg, so I can't really show you very well. He's buried back there. Dude, it would be hilarious if we get Erector named character. Well, we had an Erector homage in the movie line in 2007 as a repaint of, I think it was the Demolishor mold. No, it wasn't Demolishor. What the hell did they call that mold? I don't remember what they called it. Demolishor was the Japanese name. I forget what the American name was. They repainted it yellow and stuff. I have it somewhere here. And our last super chat of the day is from Alejandro again. Nice. I hope they make a Generations version with those colors and do a remold with Springer possibly. Well, hey, you know what? Look what they did with Barricade. They brought back his old name and his old Micromaster character with the pink, Formula One pink and light baby blue. So who knows, one day they'll do something with Blackout. You know, look, that's a name that they're going to keep around forever. So at some point they're going to have to do a throwback to the old stuff. And Blackout would be cool to see too. Purple Helicopter or Micromaster Partner. One or the other. I would prefer the Micromaster Partner, only because it would be an excuse to have a cool play set. But that's how I would like it personally, because I like my Micromasters. And that's it for tonight, guys. It is it. Thanks again for all the super chat questions. Thanks again, everyone who supports the podcast and checks us out. Once again, if you do want to support the podcast outside of this, come join us on our Patreon and everything. Get all the cool perks. Patreon.com/Protoman. The link is in the description below. Come join us on Patreon. Get that link. Get the cool stuff. Come join us. Have your name in the end credit scrolls of all the segments. And join us on the podcast. Come hang out. We could talk about robots. Lots of robots. Thanks again, everyone, for coming. I hope you had a great evening. And I hope I entertained you just a little bit. Hope you learned something. That's the most important thing. Thanks again to Aaron Archer for hanging out in the chat and all the other people who join us, including my sister Annie, who somehow is in there too for some reason. Anyways, guys, take care, have fun, and as always, like I say, roll out.